Words have power. Power to build, encourage, create, and transform. But words can also diminish, devalue, deceive, and destroy. It is said that we speak about 7,000 words a day. That's 7,000 opportunities to either tear ourselves apart or bring each other together. If every thought becomes a word and every word becomes an action, how are we fueled by our response to words? How does our state of mind, culture, gender, religion, or politics align with the words, phrases, and sentences we use every day? It's time to consider the human response to various situations that are powered by words. Leslie, there are a lot of people who don't like solitude. They don't like to be on their own. On the other hand, when people move in, I don't want to say gangs, but when they move in packs, they say things like, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. Now, if we take it one step further, people have also said that if you are the most interesting person in the room, then you're in the wrong room.
Okay.
Now, what do you think about that kind of statement? If you are the most interesting person in the room, you are in the wrong room.
Okay.
And yet you are there with your friends.
Yes. When I was younger, much younger, I used to have this need, for being the smartest person in any room I walk into. And as I grew older, it occurred to me that you can actually be the smartest person in some rooms. You could be the smartest person amongst certain people, but it's not possible for you to be the smartest person in every room that you're in.
Right, okay.
It's the same thing as being the most interesting person in any room you walk into. There's some rooms that you'll be the smartest person because of who you are, which room you're in, the people you're in that room with. It depends. But if we say if you're the most interesting person in the room, you're in the wrong room, not necessarily.
Well, I think the angle that I might look at it from is simply that you are supposed to keep growing.
Yes.
You are supposed to keep improving. And so if you spend all your time with your friends, for instance, rather than spending some time maybe with mentors, maybe with coaches who can guide you, show you the way, so to speak, then really, if you are the most interesting person in the room, you are in the wrong room.
Okay, let's ask the question. What would make you a most interesting person in a room?
Okay. You've turned the tables on me.
I have. Because I'm thinking it like this, okay. Depending on what it is that we are, quotes, talking about, depending on who it is I am, depending on the people who are in that room, so to speak, I'm using the word room figuratively now.
Yes.
We can determine, we can say, there's some rooms you'll be in that you're the most interesting person. But amongst your own people, amongst your own friends, amongst your own, within your own crowd, there are times when you will be the most interesting. There are times when someone else is going to be the most interesting. Because in that regard, being the most interesting is something that will shift.
Okay.
But your in crowd, if you are the person that's the attention is always on, so to speak, there's something wrong in that crowd. Something wrong in that crowd.
Now, from what you've just said, it makes me think of the kind of people who actually always want to be the star in that room. And that would mean that they are unlikely to grow. They are unlikely to expand. they are unlikely to increase their knowledge. Because if you are always the most interesting person, then everybody else around you, let us assume, may not be quite as knowledgeable as you, which means that actually your so-called interesting equals static. You're not moving.
And you don't want everybody else to move because it's going to change the dynamics. So you want to keep it that way. A lot of people who are like that, within that kind of crowd, they want that crowd to remain as it is because it helps them. You know, it's like you are on a pedestal by yourself. If somebody else brings another pedestal to that place, you're like, no, we don't want another one. This one is enough, because you want to be seen. That's the thing about wanting to be a star in a crowd. Every single person has to actually be a bit lower than you are, and that's the problem. But for you to say, every room I walk into,
that you're always the star.
It doesn't make sense.
I can remember, as you're speaking now, I remember an article I read many years ago. Somebody was being interviewed, I think, one of these Forbes 500 type of people, and he was asked, what is his secret? What is the secret of his success? And he said that he always made sure that whenever he was employing people, especially at executive level, that they were always smarter than him.
That's a smart person. That's a smart person.
Yeah.
A person who has this tinge of pride, this tinge of arrogance and all that, it becomes a problem for him to want to have people who are smarter than him surrounding him. It would be a good idea if everything, every idea, every thought, every kind of creative spark would have to come from you.
Yes.
And you have a team of people,
right.
You have a following, there's something wrong. Because then it limits what can happen. It limits what is obtainable. And you can't help other people grow.
Right.
And you probably won't help other people grow because you don't want them to outshine you and all.
And they, unfortunately, are probably willing to settle for the position where they are.
Yeah, there's some people like that. They always want somebody who would be in front, somebody who is responsible for everything. That's the person who's making decisions. That's the person who's coming up with ideas. When you ask them, what do you think? They're like, who am I? How can I think? What can I think? You know?
Okay, so final thoughts now. If you want to grow, if you want to expand your knowledge, then you better find situations where you will be in a room where there are other people who are smarter than you, who are more interesting than you.
In different cases. For example, I'll give you one of different cases. In my circle of friends, when it comes to certain things, there's some people who stand out. So certain issues, certain discussions, certain subject matter, there's some people who stand out.
Yes.
And I like the fact that I'm amongst them because I keep learning new things every day.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
But if I were in a room, quote, with people who don't stand out, who don't have competencies and high competencies in areas I lack competence, then I'm not going to grow, I'm not going to move past that level.
So let's shoot for the sky,
Yes.
or shoot for the stars, and ensure that, around us are also stars.
Yes.
Yes, otherwise we'll become shooting stars. And you know how long they last?
They don't last.
They don't last.
They don't last.
Thanks, Leslie. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.